Recife is one of the most sought-after beach destinations in Brazil, but it hides some risks that could literally cost you your life. You are going to understand what's really happening in this place. You should absolutely put Recife on your list. I also walk you through the top attractions, where to stay and where to eat in the area. Recife sits on the Atlantic coast of northeastern Brazil. It's the capital of the state of Pernambuco, home to nearly 4 million people. Brazilians call it the Brazilian Venice, and that's not an exaggeration. The city is a maze of rivers, canals, bridges, and islands. But why do some people choose Recife as their destination? Unlike other spots in the Northeast, where the whole point is just to relax on the sand, here you discover a full-blown metropolis with layers of history that connects Brazil to Europe and even New York City. It's a place where culture, food, and nature share the same address, and that draws a type of traveler who wants more than just sun and beach. The city's name came from a natural barrier of sandstone reefs that the Portuguese used as a landmark when they arrived in the 16th century. It made such a strong impression that it ended up naming the entire city. So the name is completely literal. Recife in English means reef. Picture this. You are standing on the most of the famous beaches in Brazil. White sand, perfect sun, people strolling along the waterfront. Everything looks like a postcard. And then you notice a red flag. At Boa Viagem Beach specifically, that flag signals something that makes it unlike any other beach in the world. Sharks. Sharks that approach the shoreline with a frequency no other urban beach on the planet comes close to matching. So what's actually going on here? At a low tide, the reef I mentioned acts like a shield. The coral structures become more exposed, and the sharks simply can't navigate through that barrier with ease. The risk is minimal. The water gets too shallow for them. At high tide, everything changes. The reef goes under several feet of water, and the path to shore is wide open. The two species responsible for most of the incidents in the area are the bull shark and the tiger shark, both of which can move into shallow waters near the beach with no trouble. That alone would be concerning enough, but there is a second factor, a human one. In the 1980s, Brazil built the port of Suape, one of the largest port complexes in the country. To make that happen, the coastline had to be altered, part of the mangroves had to be destroyed, and the ocean floor in that area was reshaped. Mangroves are the natural nursery of many marine species, including sharks. When that habitat was destroyed, they had to find somewhere else to go, and that somewhere ended up being the coastline of Boa Viagem Beach. So the beach didn't become more dangerous by accident. Humans disrupted a system that had worked for thousands of years, and the animals simply adapt. Find that interesting? If you are learning things about Brazil you never expected, go ahead and hit the like button on this video. It tells YouTube the content is worth watching and help us reach more people. Since 1990, Recife has recorded an average number of shark incidents that no other urban beach in the world can match. It's a real statistic taken seriously by local authorities and by researchers from around the globe. But here's what actually matters for you as a traveler. The city of Recife doesn't ignore this. There is a monitoring system in place. Warning flags are taken extremely seriously by the local population who has learned to live with this reality. For accommodations, the recommendation is actually to stay right on the Boa Viagem waterfront. Yes, it's the shark beach, but there is a real logic. Boa Viagem is less than 10 minutes from Recife's International Airport, which makes arriving and leaving incredibly convenient. The infrastructure along the waterfront is top tier. International hotel chains, boutique hotels with ocean views, restaurants, bars, and pharmacies. The boardwalk is well maintained, well lit, and safe to walk at night with kiosks where you can sit, eat, and grab a drink. The nightlife is calm and pleasant. You won't be swimming, but you will want to spend hours sitting there watching the ocean. It's absolutely worth a visit. Recife holds secrets that most tourists never find out about. And I'm about to show you places that will completely change how you see the city. About 20 minutes from the city center, when you arrive, you think you took a wrong turn because what you find is a castle. A real castle, European neo-Gothic style, with towers, a moat, and immaculate gardens right in the middle of Recife. This place was built by Ricardo Brenan, a local industrialist from Pernambuco who spent decades assembling what is now considered the largest collection of bladed weapons in the world. We are talking over 3,000 swords, spears, halberds, crossbows, and medieval suits of armor all under one roof. But the Institute Ricardo Brenan is much more than a weapons museum. Inside the same complexes, there is an art gallery featuring works from the 17th to the 19th century, including Dutch painters who came to the northeastern Brazil during the Dutch occupation of Pernambuco, a chapter of history that many foreigners have no idea ever happened. Brazil once had an entire region occupied by the Dutch, and Recife was the capital of that territory. Some of the most important painters of that era traveled all the way here to capture the land, the people, the wildlife, and the flora. Those original paintings are inside the Institute. It's the kind of place you walk into with no expectation and walk out of 2 hours later wondering why nobody ever told you about it. You will notice that the Brenan family left a deep mark on this city. There is another place that it's hard to put into words. The Oficina Francisco Brenan. Created by Francisco, Ricardo's cousin, it's a living museum. Over the course of decades, he transformed a former ceramic factory into something out of a dream. More than 2,000 sculptures spread across lush gardens surrounded by tropical vegetation, lakes, and historic ruins. The pieces blend human figures, abstract forms, and symbols drawn from mythology and the northeastern Brazilian imagination. Remember when I said Recife is the Brazilian Venice? The boat tour along the Rio Capibaribe is where that nickname finally made complete sense. The river cuts through the city from end to end before emptying into the ocean. During the tour, you guide under dozens of historic bridges, past colonial mansions, and modern neighborhoods. From the water level, the city looks completely different. You might be wondering if the river flows into the ocean and there are sharks out there, is this safe? Absolutely. The route runs through protected, shallow waters where those predators don't go. So you get the view of their territory with total safety and comfort. It's a beautiful, relaxing experience that's well worth your time. The historic heart of the city holds a direct connection to the United States that's going to surprise you. The Kahal Zur Israel Synagogue was founded in 1636, making it the oldest synagogue in the Americas, older than any Jewish institutions anywhere on the continent. You might be wondering, why is there a 17th century synagogue in the northeastern Brazil? Because during the Dutch occupation of Pernambuco, The Dutch brought religious freedom with them, something very rare for its time. Sephardic Jewish who had fled in the Inquisition in Spain and Portugal found here one of the very few places in the world where they could openly practice their faith. But when the Portuguese reclaimed Pernambuco, that community had to flee once again. Some of them moved north and settled in a small colony called New Amsterdam, which now you know today as New York City. The first synagogue in New York was founded by Jews who had left Recife. The thread connecting these two cities is real, documented, and fascinating. The original synagogue was restored and turned into a museum. You can see the original artifacts and read the full story of this community. It's a small, almost unassuming building from the outside, but inside is one of the most historically charged places in all of the Americas. And stick with me to the end because in just a moment I'll teach you a Portuguese word that's widely used by people in the Northeast, and it fits one of these experiences perfectly. After diving into all that history, we can't live without talking about the food. After all, you can't run on an empty tank, right? Recife has a food scene that goes well beyond what any standard travel guide will tell you. Leite Restaurant, founded in 1882, is the oldest restaurant in Brazil that has been operating at the same address. The setting preserves a style of service that has been passed down through generations. Crisp white tablecloths, gleaming silverware, and a live pianist in the background. With its dark wood and soft lighting, the atmosphere is sophisticated and elegant. The menu blends refined Portuguese techniques, including their famous bacalhau, the salt-cold dishes, with fresh local ingredients from the Brazilian coast. It's the kind of place where you feel like you are having dinner inside the history itself. For two people, expect to spend somewhere between $75 and $110, covering appetizers, a main course, dessert, and drinks. Remember that Portuguese word I promised you? It fits perfectly right here. If you are in the northeastern Brazil and something you ate completely blew you away, you can say, "Essa comida é arretada." The word can go either way, positive or negative, but it all depends on your tone of voice. Think of it as our version of unreal. If you already watched this far, consider dropping a like. It really helps with engagement and supports the growth of the channel. Another one-of-a-kind dining experience is at Castelo's Restaurant, located inside the Institute Ricardo Brenan that I mentioned on decks earlier. Imagine have lunch or dinner inside a medieval setting, stone walls, stained glass windows, while eating high-end regional cuisine. For two people, including an appetizer, main course, dessert, and a glass of wine, of course, expect to spend somewhere between $76 and $90. If you enjoyed Recife, wait until you see what is next. I've put together a list of 15 destinations across Brazil that will genuinely surprise you. Some of them are paradise level beautiful, and most foreign tourists have no idea they even exist. Click right here and I see you there. Bye bye!